Talking baseball already, fellas. Pitchers and catchers showing up.
It's back. Yeah, so the D-backs kind of have a built-in advantage because so many of their players live here in the offseason. Great baseball weather to continue training. But it's always great to see, especially position players, show up earlier than they have to. And so last week, pitchers and catchers reported, we saw position players all throughout the week slowly start to trickle in. They were doing things off to the side, though. Today is when everyone finally gets together. It's the first, organized team practice.
Full squad.
Exactly. And so that's exactly what we saw out at Salt River Field today. It's no shock that Corbin Carroll, his autograph was the hottest commodity of all before practice. And on paper, the D-backs might have improved once again. The front office making moves to compete in the ridiculously tough NL West division. Manager Torey Lovullo enters his 9th season leading the team. He'll have the tools in place to get the team back to the postseason. He's blessed with an elite pitching staff, speed, contact, and power all sprinkled throughout the lineup. Eugenio Suarez returns for year 2 in the desert. He was almost cut halfway through last year. He had only 196, just 6 home runs through June, and then he had a monster second half, 24 home runs from July and beyond.
It's like the first one, always when you came first day in spring training, you see everybody, you feel great. And that's me right now, I feel so good. Another year for me, I feel glad. This is a gift. Well, God gave it to me, and I feel grateful for the opportunity to be back one more year at least.
It's always exciting this time of year, and I think we have a good club coming into it, so I'm excited to see what we can accomplish. But the first day of anything is excited, so I'm excited to be back.
Corbin Carroll had a bounce-back second half of the season. He enters camp fitting the best shape of his entire life mantra. We hear that a lot. We'll hear more from him at 5 o'clock tonight. The D-backs did lose Christian Walker to free agency, so the guy you see on your screen right there, Josh Naylor, he's no slouch of a backup plan. He'll play first base this year. He had a career-high 31 homers last season in Cleveland. Nice. The Dodgers, of course, guys, are favored to win the NL West and also the World Series. Even the Padres are favored over the D-backs in this division, but the D-backs have a great pitching staff, and if they can make the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out in October.
Yeah, well, we remember what happened 2 years ago when they weren't favored to do anything, and then they went to the World Series. So,
yeah,
whatever.
Baseball is weird like that. People do freak out in the offseason about teams spending a bunch of money. It doesn't always guarantee that team to end up winning the
Hello, the
thing.
Yankees have been trying to do that for decades, and they have only how many, 27 or something?
Well, yeah.
But you've been spending the most money in the league for... Yeah. It doesn't always pay
exactly.
out.
The Yankees have been around a long time.
Exactly.
Strap on the batting gloves. Troy, this is the time of year where every team across baseball thinks this is our year to win the World Series. Hope springing eternal for the start of spring training across the MLB. And it's not just lip service from the Arizona Diamondbacks. From the front office down to the players, this is a team that thinks it's a contender and one that can avenge last year's playoff miss and get back to the World Series. Corbin Carroll, he'll be a big piece to that puzzle. The star right fielder burst onto the scene as a rookie in 2023, but for much of last year was stuck in a sophomore slump. He turned it on in the second half, but he'll tell you the final numbers fell short of his standard. He spent the offseason with a tireless training schedule, even at the facility on Christmas Eve working on his swing. Corbin says he's confident heading into year 3.
I don't want to, brag about all the work that I did, but I feel like the body of work that I put in was I'm really happy with, and it doesn't necessarily feel like there's a big adjustment or change that needs to be made. It was more just like, hey, I get to nitpick a little bit and try and also learn a little bit about what helped me have the success that I'd had in those last couple months.
Well, the D-backs started the day with a clubhouse gathering to listen to a message from the front office. Owner Ken Kendrick and CEO Derek Hall have made it their annual tradition. They wish the team luck and also set expectations. Hall and Kendrick also met with local reporters. A laundry list of topics, including television strategy, lease extension, and most imminent of all, a piece of legislation recently introduced at the Capitol that would incentivize the D-backs to make upgrades to Chase Field. The bill outlines a public-private partnership. The D-backs emphasize they're not asking taxpayers to be the underwriter, but it would divert sales tax money generated at Chase Field to renovations and away from other sectors. Hall called the proposal promising and a significant change from last spring.
It's like night and day. I mean, really, we feel the partnership there. We feel the willingness. I think everybody understands the importance of having the Diamondbacks downtown, the economic driver that we have become and that we will continue to be, the employer that we are, the impact that we have as an organization on the community. So it truly feels like a partnership. trip. So where we were a year ago, it's we're in a completely different place, and it's much more positive, and it feels right.
What people are going to have trouble agreeing on with all of this is how to pay for it. But I think one thing that everyone can agree on is the fact that Chase Field needs some upgrades. You had players complaining last year about the HVAC system. It was too hot down on the field, too hot for fans.
Yeah, fans were saying the same thing.
Right. And so if that bill passes, the first thing they're going to address, they say, at least according to them, is that the AC system.
Yeah. And, it makes sense. If they're really just capturing the revenue that they're creating by being there and putting it back into the operation, that does make sense. They're not coming to us and saying, hey, we need $500 million.
Right. They're not asking taxpayers to, front any more of this. The county would say, though, we own the stadium, and until that changes, we don't want you, benefiting from that sales tax. It'll be really exciting to see the entire team take the field. We got a glimpse of what that would look like today, with the exception of one player. Shortstop Geraldo Perdomo had a doctor's appointment. That's according to Torey Lovello. I think it was actually an appointment with his bank. 12 News can confirm he signed a 4-year, $45 million contract extension. He goes from potentially sick to definitely rich in the span of a few hours. Here's some sights from day one. Lovello said he didn't just want to roll the balls and bats out and not have any structure. He was looking to hit specific goals and execute at a midseason level. It's part of his evolution as a leader. He enters year 9 on the job, saying he's learned from the highs of a World Series appearance in 2023 to the lows of missing the playoffs last year.
I think everybody thought the next step was to win the World Series, but I'm proud of what we did in 23, and I'm very proud of what we did last year. But we didn't get into the big dance, and I've used some of those hard times last year, some of the mistakes that I made and decisions that I made, and some of the conversations that I had that weren't great.
The front office also met with the team today and then met with local reporters. Owner Ken Kendrick and CEO Derek Hall discussed legislation that could affect the D-backs' future at Chase Field. They say House Bill 2704 would give them a pathway to make upgrades to the ballpark. And the first thing they'll fix is the old HVAC system that's caused uncomfortably high temperatures in the field and in the stands.
It's going to have to be completely overhauled. So what we've done is we've tweaked it. We've tested some different processes, and it worked. We're going to continue that. And then one of the first items of business that we will do is repair that entire system. But it's old, it's antiquated, it's had its issues, and it's got to be a complete overhaul.